Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rashida, and today is going to be a story time about how I quit my nurse residency program. First, I want to start by saying, if you're watching this and it's something that you're considering, you should probably just do it. It's been July 2020 was my last shift. I believe it was July 9th, 2020 was my last shift in my nurse residency program. And we're coming up on, 4 years now, and I'm still alive. So there's that, right? Like, you'll survive. But I guess I'll start with why I decided to quit. I started my nursing journey as a summer camp nurse at a camp for special needs children in the Poconos. It was an amazing experience, and I always knew that I wanted to work in research, but had a little trouble getting a research nurse position. Later, I was told by one of the hiring managers at a research institution that my application was getting blacklisted because I had some research experience being a research assistant. And so when I was applying for these clinical research nurse positions at research institutions, they already knew I wasn't going to stay on the unit for long, and they were having trouble retaining nurses. So then I started looking for positions where I would get to work with patients who were on a research protocol, ideally oncology, and I landed a position at Hopkins. Side note, I actually deleted all the research experience from my resume because of that, because the research nurse positions that aligned with my research experience, they weren't hiring me because I didn't have hospital experience. So I just deleted that off my resume, and then I was able to start getting some calls back. So I ended up landing a position at Johns Hopkins. I worked in an oncology step down. It was pretty cool because we mostly had patients who had leukemia, and then also we had a benign heme unit, which was mostly patients with sickle cell, which primarily affects Black people, and it was really an amazing experience for me. So I came in wanting to be a research nurse, but I was working as just a step-down nurse in an oncology unit. But then I really liked it. Like, I loved working with oncology patients. I loved working with sickle cell patients, and we had patients come in with other rare disorders. We also were an overflow unit for solid tumors. So there was that, and there were changes that happened during the pandemic, but I'm not gonna get into that. But I really did like it, and my original plan to stay for a year or two became, I'm really comfortable here, so maybe I'll do it longer, I don't know. And in the meantime, when I wasn't getting a job, one of my mentors was saying it would be easier if you had a PhD to do those things. So she pushed me to apply to PhD programs. And I was still on the fence about going back to school, to be honest. Like, I really didn't plan to go back to school. You're looking at God's plan right now. And so when I did get a job that I liked, I looked into deferring my acceptances, and just looking back at my prayer journal, I write things like, God, if it is your will for me to go get my PhD, like, there was a lot of ifs. Like, if this is what you want me to do, I guess I'll do it. But I was really comfortable being a nurse, working 3 days a week. It was my first time just really focusing on myself. I was single too, and just enjoying living alone and enjoying my company and just going to work 3 days. And then I got a stalker, which I'm gonna need another story time for that. But then I had to deal with my car being keyed a couple of times, my locks being tampered with in my apartment, and fighting with the leasing office, and just a lot of unfortunate life events. And that goes with something that I do want to make clear, that when you're trying to, some people, you'll hear some people say, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that, or what would my life look like if I did this? And I truly believe if you're meant to do something, God's gonna make sure that you do it. Because my comfort turned into uncomfort real quick. Once I told God, you know, I'm really comfortable with my life right now, I don't want to go back to school, things got a little interesting in a bad way. So I'm dealing now with my safety and my property being damaged and stress from just being a new grad and trying to figure things out. And at this point, I made the decision 8 months into my new grad program. And the reason why that's significant is something else that I want you guys to think about if you are deciding to leave your new grad program is make sure you know your contract. Because at Hopkins, when I was there, you had to give a 30-day notice. So it's not a 2-day notice. So I had up until 30 days from the time that I would need to move to make my decision. And I really did think about it up until that moment. And I spoke to my manager about it. She was amazing. She's a Black woman. I pray that she's still in leadership. And wherever she is, I'm sure she's doing amazing things and spreading her light. But she was so supportive. Of course, disappointed that I wouldn't stay on the unit, and she gave me really encouraging words and made me feel very comfortable with my decision. So I gave my 30-day notice, and then of course, you know, I get to work and it's a mixed experiences. So one thing that many nurses experience or even talk about is lateral violence. So you hear in nursing school, nurses eat their young. That is unacceptable, first of all, but also certain institutions that you work at have a culture where they don't want you to move on, whether it's to go off to school or to take a new position. That's when you start experiencing lateral violence or even just getting the worst assignments and things like that. So it was an interesting month, and some of my coworkers were so supportive, and in a weird way, it's funny to reflect on now because some of my coworkers weren't publicly supportive, but then if I was ever by myself and no one else was around, they would come over and tell me like they want to leave too soon, or they're thinking about going back to school, or they would ask me questions or congratulate me, but they wouldn't do it publicly. And I didn't think much of it until after I left. So after I left, I of course had mixed feelings. I was nervous about going back to school. I was also moving to Philly. I broke my lease, but didn't have to deal with any of the penalties because I had police reports showing why I'm breaking my lease and a restraining order. Because my stalker lived in my building too. My building was not doing anything about it. 0 stars, would not recommend. But I left, and then a former coworker called me. And for context, before I left, my manager was supportive. My assistant manager just didn't even acknowledge that I was leaving. She didn't say congratulations. She didn't treat me any differently. She just acted like it was just another day. And a lot of my coworkers did that too. There was a few coworkers that I think were giving me a hard time, but not many. Most of them just didn't acknowledge me or me leaving at all. A few of my coworkers did end up getting me cookies when I left and like a really nice card, but there was no real celebration the way that I saw other nurses who have moved on have. And God will make sure to find ways to let you know that you made the right decision. For me, it was when my coworker called me on the phone after I had left and said that the nurse educator pulled up my YouTube on the screen in the break room, like on the TV, and she was making backhanded comments and saying stuff like this was probably her plan the whole time, which it wasn't, but that was very toxic behavior and just reinforced to me that I made the right decision. I just wish that she invited me to the break room to watch my YouTube channel too, because I looked real cute in that video. So, oh well. And I never addressed it because I had either already left or maybe I had one shift left, so I didn't even see her. But in retrospect, I probably would have told HR today, because I'm really in my snitch auntie era. Like, if you do something to me at work or school, trust me, somebody knows. That's just the type of time that I'm on lately. But I never addressed it, but I did want to make this video, and I just never made the video. So I hope that she is still watching it so that she knows that I know what she did. And I hope she's still showing my videos, because I look cute on a big screen. I love looking at myself on TV, so I do hope she's still showing it. But that is what happened. I didn't, thankfully, experience any big experiences of heightened lateral violence in nursing. And I know that's not the case for everyone, but if you are deciding to leave your new grad program, know that you are not alone. A lot of people do that. They're gonna try to make it sound like no one ever leaves and everyone stays on the unit forever. That's not true. Nursing, especially some specialties, tend to have high turnover, and that's just that. But always choose yourself first, and if you really feel like something else is aligned with your purpose, or if you're meant to do something else, just go do it, child, because if not, God's gonna slap you so hard in the back of your neck with his sandal like he did to me. When I tell you, my life flipped upside down. It went from peaceful to chaotic real quick, and it made no sense because I wasn't even dating, and I had made the decision to not even date for 6 months. I was very much inside. My stalker was a woman. It was just random experiences, and I'll tell that story another time. But I just felt called today to make this video for anyone who's deciding that it's their time to move on. Choose you first, always. Of course, jobs are important, but it's like, you always have to prioritize yourself. And if you're watching this and you're in the position to hire or fire people, know that you really can never judge how long someone is gonna stay at a job, because I went into that job originally thinking, okay, I'll do a year or two to get the experiences that I need, and then I'll move on to something that's more research-based, because we did have patients on research protocols, but that was my original thought when I signed my contract. And then upon working there, I really wanted to stay for a long time, and then life just started lifing, and as soon as I made the decision to leave, everything got so peaceful. I moved to Philly and it was peaceful. And if you know Philly, you know Philly's not a peaceful place, but during the pandemic, it was so quiet. And I was right there, 46 and Wana, a very chaotic space, right across the street from a gas station, and it was quiet during that time. So everything worked out. I'm here now, and yeah, if you have any stories of leaving your new grad program or leaving your job, feel free to leave them in the comment section below so that we can kiki of our experiences. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you next time.